Sheesh, bro. What is up to my currently 13 subscribers? If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, you mean nothing to me. And if you are subscribed, I'd literally do anything for you. I'd like to share some of my thoughts around getting off your phone, dog. Alright, couple disclaimers before I get into everything. One, I'm on my phone all the time, just like everyone else. In this video, I'm gonna talk about like why getting off my phone has been helpful for me, and like just share things that I think like might be some people might want to hear, people that care. I'm not judging anyone who's on their phone. This isn't like me preaching. I'm an idiot and I never know what I'm talking about. So I also could be wrong about all of this. Do with that information as you will. So let's just get into it, bro. I don't have an agenda for this. I'm just gonna say my thoughts, and this is one of my first times like making a video like this. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. Most of my videos are have been scripted out like to the exact word. And this I have nothing for. So let's go. Right? Okay, so I've been on my phone a lot less than I really ever have been, almost like since I got a phone. I will say that the motivation for this is there were some like things that I knew I had problems with that I was like, dude, I need to get off my phone. I need to fix these things. And then there are, which is like part of the reason I'm interested in filming this video, is like then there were like a plethora of other benefits that I received from getting off my phone that I wasn't expecting. And that almost like because I was on my phone all the time, I didn't even realize that I was robbing myself of certain things that I found out only when I put the phone down. So like a couple weeks ago, I ate a bunch of shrooms and I was working on some creative things. I was just tripping really hard, and I went to go pick up my phone, and it was like I had this really, really weird and almost kind of gross and toxic feeling. A feeling that like as soon as my hand touched the phone, I was like plugging myself into the cloud. You know, like my fingers were an outlet and the phone was the power source. Like all of a sudden I was connected to this other world, and I felt like a cyborg. Like I felt like I just got a hard drive plugged into me, and now I was living differently now that my phone was in my hand. And it's very hard to explain, but like, you know, you could think of it like I suddenly attached a receiver to my head. First of all, in the act of doing something creative and making a piece of art, by having my phone in my hand, I am subject and victim to receiving signal from the rest of the world. So it is no longer in my control if someone texts me or calls me. Now it's in my control if I respond, right? But having my phone in my hand and even feeling it vibrate, now I have to make a conscious decision. I have to like be aware that someone's trying to contact me. Then I have to make a conscious decision. Even if I decide not to answer, I have to make that decision and store it away in my mind and say, okay, I'm gonna get to this later. So essentially I'm pulled out of the task that I'm doing, right? And I'm not gonna, guys, this whole video, I'm not gonna say anything that you don't know. It's gonna sound like I think that I'm being really profound. I'm not. You know, again, this is just how I feel. Take it or leave it. But yeah, like I'm open to receiving signal from the rest of the world, whether it's an email, whether it's, you know what I mean, a CapCut notification, right? Like because I'm opening myself up to this signal, I'm subject to more like external things happening around me that are like beyond my environment. Like I can put myself in my room with no one there so I can focus on being creative, and external factors that usually would be stopped by having four walls around me and being in solitude are at play. The ability for someone to contact me, whatever. And it's almost like when I let go of my phone and even got it out of like my eyesight, the further I was away from it, the less like connected to it I felt to my phone, and the more connected I felt to the world around me. And it's not even like, you know, I'm touching this grass, right? And I can't touch this grass without my phone in my hand. But almost every piece of signal I get or input I get goes through the filter of my phone. And like when you walk around and you see something cool, you pull out your phone to take a picture and a video, right? Which is normal and fine. I'm recording myself right now. But because of the fact that you have your phone in your pocket, when you see something cool, it affects your thought. So your thought becomes, instead of, oh, this thing is cool, or immediately after, oh, this thing is cool, you think, now I need to capture it on film so I can look back at it later. And then everything cascades from there. And you're pulling out your phone and you're looking at the world through the phone. Not just metaphorically anymore, but literally. And what I notice is that that's everything. Everything that happens when my phone is in my pocket, and because my phone has been in my pocket for the last 10 years of my life every single day, that I think of the world through the context of what I can do with it through my phone. Everything that I do or see or hear, I'm aware of the fact that I have my phone with me. And it's very hard to put a finger on what I'm trying to articulate. It probably sounds like senseless ramblings, but genuinely, the further away I get from my phone, the more different I feel. There are some things that I used to do. Okay, this is an example of something that I didn't think about would be a benefit until I put my phone down. So like when I was trying to get off my phone, the initial reasons why were because I felt addicted and victim to like the typical shit that people say is the reason why they want to get off their phone. I was doom scrolling too much on Instagram. I was watching too many YouTube videos. In fact, being someone who has a history of addiction, specifically with drugs, and like understanding what that relationship looks like and leveraging these things to use as a crutch and use as cope, I was using my phone the exact same way. I was using it to dissociate. I was using it to distract myself from boredom, from emotions, from anxiety, and I was using it to suppress things that I didn't want to feel that were making their way to the surface in weird different ways afterwards. So I was like, okay, I gotta get off my phone. I didn't think of like utilitarian shit like I use my maps to get everywhere. So in my mind, I was like, if I quit social media and my screen time is high just from using my maps to get everywhere, that's fine. This is just like a utility-based purpose. This isn't something that's drawing away from my life. What I have found is that if there's any possible way to replace the phone version with an analog version, aka Google Maps, to a physical map, yes, it might take 5 extra minutes, or it might be slightly more of a hassle. And I'm not saying it's like you have to like, you know, I don't have a flip phone. I still use my phone all the time. You know what I mean? I'm using it right now to record the voice memo of this video because my camera audio is shit. I'm just saying, bro, that I felt such a sense of like relief and peace and a louder ability to be mindful by getting off my phone, that I decided that even utility stuff, if I could conveniently find a way around it, then I would. I think the other thing is like, again, like going back to the signal thing and like attaching a satellite to yourself. If I'm on my phone for Apple Maps, I'm opening up myself to notifications. Either that or I have to game everything. I have to like put my phone on do not disturb and whatever. Even if it's slight, I do think that there is like some sort of cognitive benefit to like doing things not always the most convenient way. And like even though a map is a little bit harder, there's something like slightly more satisfying about like learning how to get places instead of just outsourcing every inconvenience to the device. Like, it makes me feel more human. Now, there's something else that I mentioned, which I think has been the most important thing, which is mindfulness. You know, I read a book recently called Digital Minimalism because of my interest in this topic, and it is what it sounds like. It's a philosophy of having a minimalistic approach to technology. And it talked about all the benefits of like reducing your screen time and all this stuff, but it didn't get as like woo-woo and spiritual as honestly this feels. And I know it's corny, whatever, call me corny. But my point is, there's something that I can hardly even put my finger on, but something like spiritual about living in the world off of technology. When I've successfully cut my screen time in half from like 7-8 hours to like 3-4, my mindfulness has skyrocketed, and my ability to like feel the interconnectedness that I have in like nature and between other human beings has increased. And I don't think that that's like for no reason, obviously. I mean, there's a couple things that I could tell you right now. Not all of this is about productivity. It's about put your phone down and you can get more stuff done. Sometimes you're using your phone as you do other things. So on paper, you almost look less productive, right? Like, how many of us go eat a meal and like put our phone down and watch a YouTube video? And then sometimes even there's this mental justification if it's a topic we're interested in, or it's not just like absolute brain rot content, then we think we're accomplishing two things at the same time. We're eating and whatever. And again, I'm saying stuff that everyone else has said, but by the way, we're not getting the full benefits of either. How many times have you eaten a meal while watching a video and like not even tasted your food? It's just gone. You know, like your head is somewhere else. And anyways, what I'm getting at is this desire to always be stimulated is murdering your ability, was murdering my ability to be mindful. All these little moments that I filled up time within my phone that I didn't even clock was like wasting my time: pooping, eating, standing in line. The idea isn't I'm putting my phone down and I'm doing something different. No, I still have to poop, I still have to eat, I still have to stand in line. The idea is I'm fucking pooping. I'm not pooping and scrolling Instagram. I'm eating. I'm not eating and watching YouTube. I'm standing in line. I'm not standing in line and texting someone. I'm doing these things and I'm thinking while I'm doing them, and I'm, for fuck's sake, leveraging a little bit of open space to have some critical thought. To like, bro, when was the last time you or me, before like 6 months ago, sat down in silence and thought? And like, how often do we feel like life is passing us by, or we're not moving through life as intentfully as we want to, or things are happening really fast, or we feel really busy, or we don't feel that we have the time to do all the things that we want to do and accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish? So our lives are activity after activity after activity with no time in between to think. And when we do have time in between to think, or even during the activity to think, we fill that with outside external stimulation. And then it's like, what right do we have to sit here and complain like, oh, life is passing me by, oh, I don't have enough time to get stuff done, whatever, and you're on your phone for 8 hours a day? It's like, yeah, no shit. This is what happens to people when they're just doing all the time and they're not thinking. This is what happens when you don't go for a walk. And like, at this point, I don't even mean like having headphones in and your phone in your pocket. I mean like going for just a walk and thinking, bro. And fuck, man, if you're doing that once a week, imagine doing it once a day. Like, whatever it is, bro. I'm just saying that, like, the more that I'm off my phone, the less scared and anxious I am of silence, of feeling the moment. And there was almost like an intensity of just being in the moment and not being on my phone, and like being in a group setting, and when things got silent or awkward, not like instinctively pulling out my phone and like sitting in it and dealing with it. And then I did that a few times, and now I'm better at dealing with it, and it doesn't make me anxious anymore. And so it's a chicken or an egg situation, right? Like, Why do we always feel perennially anxious all the time? And then when we feel anxious, we disassociate and we go on our phone. Are we going on our phone because we feel anxious? Or do we feel anxious because we're going on our phone? Like, again, bro, and I could hit you with all like the Joe Rogan shit of like, you know what I mean? The corny ass, like, you know, you go on Instagram, you start scrolling, you start looking at other people's lives, you start thinking about your own life in that context. What we've all heard that shit before, right? So I want to like stray away from like those being my talking points. But I will say, we only have so much bandwidth in the day. And when I am not doing a million things at the same time, and when I have made a conscious effort to not fill up every bit of space with being on my phone and let these moments flow and pass each other by and try and sink into them and feel them, I don't feel like I've indulged all of my capacity. I don't feel like I've overextended myself as much. I don't feel like so exhausted all the time. If I'm on my phone for hours and I'm like stimulated by this post and stimulated by this post and stimulated, I feel not physically, but like a mental and emotional exhaustion from all of my emotional bandwidth being directed to like these external things that are happening on my phone. And suddenly, and that emotional bandwidth is going to like get out of you regardless, right? So like suddenly when I get off my phone and I'm working all day and I haven't interacted with anyone in 5 hours, I woke up, went to work, but you know what I mean, and worked for 5 hours, then I go to lunch, I have like a higher bandwidth to like look the Chipotle worker in the eyes and like smile at them and talk to them, because I don't feel like I've extended all of my, not just social battery, but my battery in general, my ability to like take on new thoughts and conversations in the day through my phone and through giving it to my phone and receiving it from my phone. Whatever, bro. I know I'm probably not making any sense. And I gotta wrap this video up. But what I will say, dog, is I'm making this video because it's really important for me to say these things as a reminder to myself. I'm really, really hoping that I can take this inner dialogue that honestly plagues and tortures and excites me and never ceases to be streaming in my mind, and find ways to like externalize it and hopefully to engage with people in the world through it. Meaning, I just want people to like hear what I have to say because it's helpful to them. And I want to not feel crazy. And I want to feel like other people can understand where I'm coming from. And that like this isn't just me by myself in nature talking to a bunch of trees. And this is like stuff that actually like matters and people actually want to talk about and hear about and challenge me on. You know, not, it doesn't matter if I'm right or not. What matters is that it's worth engaging with. You know, I'm trying to think if I have more thoughts to add. You know, I'll just say like I could go into a million different reasons why this has been helpful for me, but in general, I think the biggest thing is I'm being more intentful, I'm being more mindful, and by intentionally putting down my phone for the sake of applying myself and directing and orienting my energy into the thing that aligns more with the person that I want to be, I'm living a happier life. And not just a happier life, I feel like a different fucking person. And sometimes I'm like, over the last year, I've come back from a place where I had just recently made an attempt on my own life and generally on a daily basis wanted to die. And I'm at a place right now where I don't feel fucking scared to sit in silence. I feel nervous about the inner dialogue that I have, but I don't feel crushed under its weight. And I don't feel the need to shove drugs down my throat, to shove a phone in my face, and to distract myself in every waking moment to be able to like find some solace and to feel okay. And part of that was just getting better and then getting off the drugs and getting off my phone. But really, no. Most of that was getting off my fucking phone, getting off the drugs, and facing the inner dialogue and sitting in that silence before it just made me nervous and while it was torturous and while it made me want to kill myself. And moving forward in the face of that and not running from it. And man, I put some of this shit down, the drugs, the phone, some of the lying, some of these bad habits, and fuck, man, part of me is like so mad at myself that why didn't I do this before? Because now that these things are gone, it's not that complicated to like be okay. And another part of me is horrified with the notion of trying to reintegrate them and pick them back up again in a healthy way. And despite the fact that like I need to be on social media to have a career as an artist, and like I feel like my life in many ways depends on some of these things that I have such a hard time integrating into my life with moderation, bro, I feel like whatever sacrifices I have to make to be able to put this shit down, I might just have to make. Because fuck, dude, I'll be damned if I ever feel the way I felt. Bro, I'd be so happy for you if you can like walk around and be the most excited and most content and most happy and most fulfilled and most purpose driven version of yourself, and be on your phone 8 hours a day and fill up all the mundane moments with stimulation. If you can do that, bro, more power to you. Fuck, man, you're light years ahead of me. Me personally, damn near I have to put every single responsibility and potential distraction and potential thing that knocks me off my pivot, I have to put it all down almost all day, every day, to like be able to focus and concentrate hard enough to just feel okay. It's almost like nobody move, I'm locked in. If you're anything like me and you've struggled with mental health, mindfulness, whatever it is, maybe you have to go out of your way and do weird shit like regress technologically, and you have to direct more attention, more life force, more of your actual time into like creating spaces for yourself to feel better. And at least you can do that instead of feeling like you're a victim to like having to do some shit that other people don't. At least if you feel like shit or just not as good as you think you can, and you're on your phone for more than like an hour, a couple hours a day, at least, bro, you have something to try that's within your control that might help. That's it.